So West Ham transfers are strange. This may hopefully change with the appointment of Tim Steinen as our technical director. But for every Paladi Canio in terms of a transfer, we do tend to get a Brian Montenegro. Now, with the Declan Rice money coming in £105 million in total, obviously, hopefully our transfer budget will start and our spending for the summer will start. But I thought I'll have a look back at some of the stranger transfers we've had. I'm Russ from the West Ham Network, and this is 15 worst Hammer transfers of all time. Some honourable mentions who don't make the 15. Roger Johnson, Gary Breen, Mazan Rat, Javier Margas, Midu, Arbeloa, Sandy Clark, Gokhan Pablo Amiro, Florian Radichoy, Raymond van der Hal, Wallington Palista, Radislav Kovac, Jack Wiltshire, Donnell Henry, Patrice Evera, Manuel Enrique, Mike Newell, Alu Diarra, Louis Boamorte, Robbie Keane, Darnay, Schmack, Carlos Sanchez, Gary Charles, Emmanuel Pocketets, Wayne Bridge, Rob Jones, Nigel Quasi, and Mario Borriello, to name but a few. Number 15, David Kelly. David Kelly's exploits attracted the attention of West Ham, and he signed for £600,000 in August 1998. Made his debut in a 4-0 defeat to Southampton. His stay at the Bowling Ground proved to be largely unsuccessful, as an initial promising strike partnership with friend of the channel Leroy Rossini floundered, as he scored only 6 goals in 25 games for John Lyle's Hammers as they suffered relegation in the 88-89 season. Failed to find the form for the club under new boss Lou McCarthy in the second division, scoring just 2 goals in 24 matches in the 89-90 season. 2 unsuccessful seasons, the second one being in essence the championship, and scoring a total of 8 goals in 49 games is as bad as it sounds. Number 14, Rigobert Song. So Rigobert was signed from Liverpool. He hadn't impressed at all in his 3 years at Anfield, so it was a strange decision for West Ham to bring him to Upton Park. It was first said that he was brought in as a replacement for Rio Ferdinand, who left for Leeds for £18 million. However, just 24 games in 2 years was not enough for West Ham to realise their mistake. He is possibly one of the worst defender signings we have ever had. Number 13, Titi Kamara. Harry Redknapp signed Titi Kamara from Liverpool for £1.7 million and seemed a good buy at the time because his direct play and pace at Liverpool was well seen, but the Guinean international failed to settle at Upton Park and failed to live up to the form he found at Liverpool. He made only 14 appearances without scoring and left after his contract was terminated following West Ham's relegation. Number 12, Alan McKnight. During his time at West Ham, he was known by fans as McNightmare because of his frequent goalkeeper errors. Signed from Celtic in 1988, he made his debut in a 1-0 away win against Wimbledon, competing for the goalkeeper's jersey with the ageing Phil Parkes. He played all of his 23 games for West Ham in the first season. Played his last league game in a 5-1 defeat away to Liverpool, which saw the West Ham side being relegated to the second division, and had to wait 18 months until his next game, which was another 5-1 defeat away to Luton Town in the Full Members Cup. Number 11, Freddie Lundberg. After 9 successful years at Arsenal, Lundberg joined the West Ham United side in 2004 on a 4-year contract, but apparently the magic had gone, the spirit had died, and there was no more good vibes from Freddie. He made just 22 league appearances, but his impact in those games was minimal. Scored twice, and that's probably about it. Throughout the season, Lundberg was sidelined of injury, which never let him get his rhythm back, and it didn't represent a very good return on investment for West Ham, given that his wages were rumoured to be around £75,000 a week, and that was in 2007. A huge amount of money for a side in that time that only survived on the final day of the previous season. And we wonder why so many of our owners go out of business. Number 10, Kieran Dyer. Kieran completed a signing to West Ham in 2007 for £6 million. Again, another 4-year deal. Just 10 days after his debut, he was stretchered off after a tackle in a League Cup game against Bristol City that resulted in his right leg being broken in 2 places. The midfielder made only 30 appearances for West Ham without scoring a goal in 4 years at the club. David Gold once said that Kieran Dyer cost the club £6 million by the time he left, and he cost £10 million in wages. Outrageous. Number 9, John Radford. The 4th all-time highest goal scorer of Arsenal, featured in one of the worst signing lists of another London club. Says the story in itself. Unable to stake a place in the Arsenal side, Radford moved to West Ham in December 1976 for £80,000. At West Ham, he had plenty of opportunities. However, he failed to capitalise on them. He made 28 league appearances in 1 year for the Hammers, but failed to score in any of them, and later joined Blackburn in 1977. Dieter Erickson. Not a German international, but a West German international. Seeing as West Germany and the Premier League didn't overlap, that tells you a bit about the striker himself. The veteran of the 1988 Olympic Games played a total of 0 minutes for West Ham, having arrived as one of the first signings of the Redknapp era. Number 7, Benny McCarthy. Benny was signed by West Ham for an undisclosed fee on transfer deadline day in the 2010 January window from Blackburn. In his debut, he picked up an injury they were keeping out for up to 6 weeks. Came back extremely unfit and only went on to play another 13 games for West Ham. In April 2011, he left by mutual agreement after the clubs agreed to pay £1.5 million payoff to terminate his contract. He made only 2 Premier League starts and 14 appearances in all competitions, scoring no goals. Number 6, Jordan Hugo. Big George rocked up at London Stadium on the last day of the January transfer window in 2018, costing an eye-watering £10 million from Preston North End, one of David Moyes' old clubs. So there was speculatism about the reasonings behind his move. We did need a forward, but a Championship one and a £10 million Championship one. Sadly, his most notable contribution to the club at the time and since was his welcome video, where he declared he couldn't wait to come out to the Bulls, something he never managed to do either for West Ham or for an opposition team. He made a total of 3 substitution appearances for West Ham in his time. Number 5, Jerry Beacham. Jerry was signed by West Ham in 1994 for a fee of around £1 million from his boyhood club, Oxford United. However, it didn't last long. He failed to settle, never played a competitive game for West Ham, finding the commute from London to Oxford a long one and unwilling to relocate in London. A mere 58 days later, he was signed by Swindon for a record fee of £800,000, which included Adrian Whitbread going in the wrong direction, with Whitbread also valued at around £750,000. Number 4, Simeone Zaza. Simeone Zaza arrived with big hopes after featuring for Italy in the Euro 2016 tournament, even if it was his most notable contribution was missing a crucial penalty. Apparently his confidence was now an all-time low and his spell at West Ham was nothing short of dreadful. He was signed on a €5 million loan fee with a £20 million obligation to make the deal permanently should he reach a certain number of appearances, which thankfully he didn't. His most famous contribution for West Ham was having a shot on goal at Old Trafford that went out for a throw-on. Number 3, Marco Burgess. Burgess was signed by Harry Redknapp for £800,000 from Sparta Rotterdam in 1995 after the manager was shown a video of him looking different class. He featured only 4 times for West Ham and did not start a single game. He was sent off early in his career after a horrific challenge on Gary Neville at Old Trafford before going missing. During his first few months, Burgess has been suffered from worsening pain in his knee. Upon his return to fitness in the new year, Burgess was loaned to FC Groningen before a mutual termination of his contract was agreed upon in the summer of 1996. Number 2, Roberto. Very often does a signing actually make a manager lose his job, but that happened with Roberto realistically. The 33-year-old Spaniard joined from Espanyol in the summer of 2019 and deputised for the injured Lucas Fabianski in the autumn. The club decision was to get rid of Adrian as well, and replace him with Roberto, but a series of high-profile mistakes blighted his time in the Premier League. He did not win a single one of the 7 games he was featured in and committed a number of absolute howlers, including punching it into his own net against Burnley. During his time at West Ham, he conceded 17 goals, including 3 in 3 consecutive games in December. In his last appearance of that run against Tottenham, he was ridiculed by his own supporters. He is definitely one of the worst signings we've always had. He was shortly loaned out to Alaves at the end of the season after 10 appearances. He later moved to Real Valladolid for a free transfer in 2020. The downturn in West Ham's form cost Manuel Pellegrini his job. And number 1, Savio. There was huge expectations when West Ham splashed, at the time, a club record £9 million for an unknown 19-year-old from Brescia in January 2009. However, the Ugandan-born striker failed to impress after starting only 1 game and not scoring at all during his time at the Hammers. He's probably more known and more famous for after he left. He was controversially arrested in 2012 when he was playing at West Ham. He's also been arrested for faking his own kidnapping. West Ham sold him to Fiorentina soon, and he is arguably our worst signing of all time. Have we missed anyone else? I'm sure we have. Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.